So we're out here at Wildwood at the 75 Chrome Shop Show, and walking around, we looked at all the awesome trucks here and noticed this truck that's highly customized.
Yeah,
and,
a little bit.
Definitely wanted to get some answers to some questions and
Sure.
Just like to find out more about the truck. So what year is the truck?
It's a 2003 Peterbilt 379. It's a 2021 Mack flatbed. It's a 550 horsepower cat, 18-speed transmission, 336 rears.
Okay. What's the wheelbase on this truck?
It's a 304-inch wheelbase. We stretched it ourselves. We put a back half on off of a newer truck.
Okay, so you put a new clip on the back.
Yeah, we were looking for the new style low air, so we put an 06 rear clip on the back.
So is it regular low leaf or is it low leaf?
Well, it's my leaf now. I built my own hangers and everything on it.
All right,
so it's all my own.
That's even better.
Yeah, it's lower than low.
Right, right.
Yeah, 'cause we made our own hangers so we could shim the springs up, put more pinion angle in it. That let us get the back down much lower.
Right.
Then we put new suspension stops over the axles so that the factory cast stop kind of goes up high and mine are flat.
Right.
And it lets the whole thing sit lower and still have some ride height. That way it goes down the road without bottoming out.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yep.
So who did all your work for you on the truck?
The paint and some of the fab work was done by TA Truck Painting up in Pewaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I bought all my parts from Nick and Julia at Amcan Truck Parts.
All right.
A real good friend of mine owns a fab shop up in Denmark right next to my business. It's Bones Welding and Fab. And he did all the heavy fab work, made my suspension stuff, my fifth wheel mount, all the aluminum sheeting under the truck and under the trailer. He made all that stuff for us.
Okay.
And then we had the interior done up in Waterford, Wisconsin at Inside Rides. And he did an amazing job.
That's where I had a lot of questions. That's kind of my specialty. Of course, we've got guys at our shop that do all kinds of things and other guys that do the paint and body. But, I've helped with that. But, I noticed like your fifth wheel riser. That's all handmade, isn't it?
Everything was handmade, yep.
Right.
Yep.
That looks really good and it's smooth and it's actually... Did you actually weld that to the frame?
Nope, it is stud welded inside.
It's stud welded, okay.
And so we had to put it on in two halves, over the frame in two halves, tighten all the nuts underneath, and then welded the middle and body worked the middle so that it looks like it's one piece. So
you body worked that on the truck?
We had to, yeah. That was the only way to put it together.
We sprayed it underneath and everything.
Yeah.
Bolted it up. And then
Sure.
Yeah, and then
because that's really unique looking because you don't see any bolts or anything on the outside.
Yeah.
But you really don't see welds on it, so I was curious if you'd welded it on the outside or if you'd actually done something different for attachment.
It, so it, got rid of the seam.
Right, just makes it smooth out, and that way you don't get water sitting in there too.
Right, that's why
rust.
That lot rots
everything. We seam sealed everything outside the rail just for that reason, so you didn't get water in there and start any kind of rust jacking or the streaking coming out.
Yeah,
it's all
because
sealed.
it will.
Yeah, it would.
For
yep,
sure.
Yep. So we sealed everything.
So. Even underneath this thing, you've done a lot of work too. I see because you put belly pans under.
Yeah,
the frame.
we made a tunnel underneath that the drive shaft sticks out of. Instead, a lot of guys will make it where the drive shaft is in the tunnel.
Encompassed, yeah.
And it's been a goal of mine. I wanted to chrome my whole drive line, and we did that. But then to close in the frame and make it look pretty, we built an aluminum tunnel from up under the fuel tanks all the way to the back here.
Okay.
And then it keeps everything pretty underneath, but then the chrome drive shaft hangs out of that.
Right. Because that's what I noticed too. Because a lot of times, guys want to clean up the underneath side of the truck, but they'll put the drive shaft in a tunnel.
Yep.
And then when you do that, you're hiding a lot of it.
Right.
And the more you can have custom work exposed,
the better it is.
The better it is because you can look and you can actually see, all of your drive line all the way back, even the U joint here. You can even see that's done. Your carrier
bearings, the yokes, everything they did. Yeah.
And that's just another level of customizing that not a lot of people do. But it just depends on what the customer's wanting, and obviously you try to achieve what your vision was.
And that's when we went into this. Jeff and at TA and Nick and I sat down and I gave him it was a small list, I feel, of must-haves. The things that when the truck is done, there's no excuses. This has to be done.
Right.
And we got it all done. I wanted to smooth out the firewall. I didn't want a cover that covered everything. I just didn't want anything.
Yeah, just wanted
take it all off and put it wherever. I don't care where it goes, just not there.
And Nick, too, not to interrupt, but sometimes the list of must-haves is like Oh.
Do you lose
Yeah.
sleep?
As a builder, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, going, "How am I going to do that?"
Right.
There was, that firewall cover was one of them.
Yeah.
It was just,
Right.
Yeah.
And making keeping everything clean because all the work that you're having to do underneath, you can't have just like, okay, we're just going to stick a bolt here.
Right.
You can't do things
everything
like
had
that.
To be,
so
everything had to be really thought ahead of time, because one thing could affect the next. And that
Right,
was something that
right.
was big too, is to make sure that, well, if we do this, is this still going to work? And it was a juggling act at times, but they
Right.
nailed it like they did,
Right. And I noticed things like you've moved the air ride underneath, and I see you just, there's a little bit of a relief there, but everything's smooth and clean off the back.
Sure.
You can still see what's going, you can still see that it's there.
Yep.
But everything is nice and smooth. When your air's down, it looks clean
Sure.
and everything's nice.
Yep. Yeah, and
And,
they enclosed the bottom of the cabin, the sleeper, with sheet metal and painted it to match.
I noticed that.
So
it's all finished
it's all
out underneath.
smoothed out.
I was upside down under it a while ago.
Right, no, that's why we do it.
Right.
It's guys like you that know what to look for, and you appreciate what's been done.
Right. Even things like on the tanks, I can see you've taken all the welds off the tanks,
Yep.
smoothed all those out,
Smooth it all
and
out.
recessed fuel caps, and it's not built up. It's flat and smooth with the top.
Yep.
That looks really good.
Yeah, the body guys at Total Appearance, they nailed it. They did
Right.
a good job.
And
Yeah.
even these hangers, they're smooth. They've got covers on them.
Yep.
Obviously, you fabricated some covers
Yep,
to go
12
over
gauge
them.
made us some stuff for that.
Right.
12 gauge made a bunch of the accessories as well, and so that the tank strap covers, stuff like that, they did for us, and
Right.
just to keep that going, where it's hard, without going and making your own hanger straps to hide the bolts. This was an easier way to accomplish the same thing.
Well, and in my opinion, that's not a bad way of doing it, because that bracket's got to still function.
Right.
It has to hold
Yep.
the tank up. And sometimes if you try to fabricate something and it fails, then you'd be like, oh,
Yeah, that's a
no.
problem.
Yeah.
But
That's a problem.
that is a nice way
Yeah.
to smooth that out
Thank
and make
you.
it look good.
I appreciate
and
it.
it's still functional.
Right,
Because it'll
yep.
still hold your tanks right.
Right,
Yeah.
and we can still take the strap off and replace it if we
Sure,
need or anything
sure.
like that. So
I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's still a truck.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if
Yep.
you're planning on ever using this, or if it's a limited mileage.
Limited mileage,
So
yeah.
it'll be a limited mileage.
Limited
truck.
mileage, yeah.
That's what I figured.
He
by
says
the-
that, but on the way down here, he looks at me. He's like, "We got a problem here." I thought something.
I enjoy driving it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
I
really
like it
nice
too
to
much.
drive.
Yeah.
All right, so now we've gone over a lot of the exterior of the truck, which is incredible, but I really appreciate interior work as well a lot, because that's one thing that I really dig doing. And I also like seeing stuff that's done. And now I want to know what all you've done in here. You just tell me, like on the stereo.
Well, I'm not a big stereo guy. I told Nick I wanted something that sounded good, but not too elaborate. So I know what the components are and stuff, but I'll let him describe it.
Okay.
Just he can give you a little bit.
I'm not really a big stereo guy either, but I got my brother Jason. I hit him up a lot, and then my brother
Right.
Aaron and stuff like that. I mean, I know the W7s and the
Sure.
the HD amp and stuff like that, but we got a shop back home that I go through, and he helps me out with that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's two 10-inch W7s. I believe
Okay.
it's a 1000 by 1 HD
Right.
for those. The components are on an 8-channel. I can't remember. I think it's a 700 or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So like those things there,
And I see that you've used JLC2 speakers in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And if you go around to our truck, we've got all that stuff in our truck. And if you look on the inside of it, we're running C2s.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
We're running C2
Yep.
JLs because they're a good speaker.
So we
and
did
it's-
all right.
And that right.
Right.
That's
And
just
it's-
it. You don't want to mix things up, and I'm really weird about people saying, well, you got to go with this stereo, you got to go with
Right.
Well,
Well,
for me, if I know something works, I'll just use it.
they work well.
Yeah.
And they're not crazy expensive.
Correct.
When you had the system playing a minute ago, it sounds really good. It's not.
It's very clear.
It's
yeah.
not crazy over the top. You didn't just shove speakers everywhere you could.
Yeah.
You made it flow with the interior of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see you even did a lot of changes in the sleeper. So what
Yeah.
did you do in the sleeper back there, as far as like the arrangements back there?
I mean, we gutted it. I didn't. The bed in these little sleepers is so small to begin with. It.
Right.
You really couldn't lose anything by trying something different. So we gutted the whole sleeper, took the closets, everything out, and we actually put an RV sofa in the back that
Okay.
folds out into a bed.
Right.
And then we made some TV pods in the corners.
And those look clean.
Yeah, they're very smooth. The speakers, they also house the speakers in the sleeper, so there's a 8-inch speaker top and bottom on each of those pods,
Okay.
and they're linked to the stereo. to where, say you're watching a movie or whatever, it'll play on all 3 screens and through the audio of the truck. So it's really cool that way. Nick had cartoons on in there when we were building the truck, and half the day we were watching cartoons, half the day we were working.
I've done that too.
Yeah,
Back in a
you
build
wanna know
that
what
we
you're
had,
working on.
I tacked into the Wi-Fi there in the shop, and I'm watching stuff while I was building.
Right.
It was late at night, and I was the only one in there.
Yeah, and you're just
the
trying
one
to.
time I was working, he's like, "Are you really watching a movie?" I'm like, as I'm wiring away, like, hey,
Maybe it occupies my mind.
Yeah,
it's
right.
just a distraction. Yeah.
So you've built the sub cabinet for the 210s under that couch,
Yeah.
and it looks nice and clean. And you told me they were forward facing,
Correct, yeah.
but you don't see the face of the subs. But there's openings where it's a nice smooth opening at the bottom where that sound can come out, and the bass is very nice and clean. And I really appreciate that for the sound because it really does sound great.
Awesome.
Sure.
So you even did a lot of changes in the front of this, in the cab. Looks like you just started over from beginning.
We started with a bare cab and a bare sleeper. 12 gauge built us a dash a few years ago, and we stayed with the same dash because I like it. It's really nice.
That's sharp.
We just repainted it, made it fresh, made everything match the exterior color-wise and such, and put that back in. And then we took the cab and the sleeper to the upholstery shop, and we told them, we wanted to use certain colors and kind of a hot rod, simple theme. And then he took it and ran, and Don down at Inside Rides did a great job. He did
really
nice.
Looks nice.
The leather floor with a little carpet inlay in it and stuff.
Right.
It's very classy looking.
Even your seat
nice.
bases. I mean,
Yep.
you've got different. I don't know what seats those are, but those aren't necessarily
They're not
quote
truck
unquote
seats.
truck seats.
They're not.
Pro
They're-
car.
Yeah.
Right.
Pro car.
So it
Yeah.
does have sliders on it, and they're actually mounted to a custom built
Yep.
frame
TA
base.
made us the base to
Okay.
attach to the floor,
Right.
And then we just used the standard, riv nutted bolt plates that
Right.
the factory came with, so that way we could put them in with ease. And then the seats attached to that, and the
Right.
seats slide forward, tilt to back, everything.
That's
just
what I noticed. That they
functional.
were still functional.
Yep.
It's not a factory seat.
And they're soft. They're very comfortable
very
to sit in. Yeah.
I was checking it out without getting in there and messing up the interior, but you can tell everything's really functional.
Yeah.
And you've shaved the doors and suicided the doors, so that's a neat touch too. And there's not a handle on the truck anywhere, so I assume
Everything's poppers.
Yeah, you've got poppers
There's
on
some
all of them.
remotes in the truck to open from inside the cab and
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
Yep. Then,
And that dash layout and everything is slick. It keeps that dash so smooth and clean. And then I noticed you even relocated some of the switches and things.
Yep.
Controls, handbrakes, everything, down below.
The one thing I'm really proud of is we buy a lot of new trucks, and I've been down to the factory to watch them get built and stuff, and they're attentive. They'll ask you, what's your opinion? What do you think? And I've asked for years if they would put a digital heater control for the the heater controls in the dash, and they never have, and obviously
not yet.
one guy isn't going to
Everything's
sway them to do it, but they wouldn't do it, so we did it. We put one in. It's all digital, just like in a modern car or pickup.
Right.
It's an auto temp, so you set it at the temp you want, and it holds that temp in the cab.
I might have to get a hold of you, fellas.
It was so much better, and I just, so if you're watching this Peterbilt, check it out, because that's what you need to do.
Yeah, so you've got climate control
it
too,
is.
So that's a pulling modern
Right, yeah, the old
technology
knobs and stuff.
into an
That's
old
1985.
truck.
Let's
Right.
move ahead on that.
Right.
So
now out under the hood, it's obvious that you guys went way above
yeah,
cleaning everything up.
yep.
So just tell me about what all you've done out here. I know we spoke briefly about the firewall cover, but just explain to me what all you've done out here.
Well, I guess start at the bottom, work our way up. We got a 12 gauge air ride setup on it. It's the Gen 2 style. They've come out with a newer one now, and it's I've had this one for quite a while. It's not giving me any problems, so I just stayed with it. I like how clean it is and the appearance of it. So, we stayed with the original air ride, but yeah, we smoothed everything off the firewall and hid it all under the cab and made it just a flat, smooth cover so we could carry the stripes around, keep it nice and clean.
So all of the relays and all that stuff that were on the firewall, you've rolled it around and got it all mounted under.
Yeah, you're familiar with that cavity in the front of the cab.
You went into that and just mounted some things in there.
Yeah, we moved everything in that cavity and then just played it over the front.
Right.
So
Because honestly, that's just really it's wasted space.
It is.
Exactly. I was going to
Yeah.
say it's wasted space because there's nothing in there.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
You could mount everything and you could still access it if you had to. You could get this
that cover
pulled
pops off, 8 bolts, the cover pops
Right,
off, and
right.
we can get to everything just like a normal truck at that point. The AC hookups, everything is
So
behind
it's still
it.
functional because too
Yeah.
many times I've heard heard guys and seen guys come up to highly customized trucks that someone else has built or we built or whatever, and say, well, that's not even a truck anymore. You couldn't even work that truck.
Sure.
You could still drive this truck
Absolutely.
and haul something.
I will.
Now, there'll be people saying, well, there's no way they'd ever would, but you could. You
It'll
still didn't render it useless.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's
Now, you'll see some trucks that they're just not made. They've been taken to a point where they're not, but this one still is a usable truck.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what I really dig about it, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
I appreciate it.
You
Yeah.
can still take off and drive the thing.
Sure.
And actually haul something.
Yep. Yep.
But this is really clean, and even inside the hood, I noticed you did work inside the hood because it's nice to pull stripes inside the hood, but those
all
inside
that
of those
skeleton
hoods
is not friendly.
That
It's not made for
bracing
that.
is not made for that. It's
Yeah.
all crooked and waved in and out and so forth. So you've actually made smooth plates in there.
Well, those panels are actually my original exterior hood panels. We reskinned the hood, and we had the exterior panels sitting there, and we knew we wanted to put the stripes and stuff in.
Right.
And so Jeff at TA is like, well, why don't we just duplicate them to the inside, cut it around that skeleton, huck it on, and it'll look factory, and we'll just paint it to match. And he did that. That was kind of his pet project, and it turned out great.
That's a really nice touch, because then you can carry those stripes in.
Yep, right around.
And it's
you know how it is once you start going around any lines and stuff. They start looking.
looking curvy.
You know, and the guys in our shop that do the layout and things, you know, I say, well, customers kind of maybe thinking about wanting to bring his stripes inside, and they go,
yeah, not
can
again.
we make smooth
That
panels?
was Jeff's reaction too.
Yeah.
Jeff's like, I'm going to talk him out of it.
Yeah. It's
didn't
not
work.
fun for the painters or the layout guys or anybody involved. So
Yeah.
it's much cleaner to do that. And even on the fan blades, you even drew some detail.
We put our
into
logos on the
blades.
fan blades.
Right.
Yep, just trying to put as much detail we could as without getting tacky, you know, just small, simple things. Dynaflex hooked us up with their new cold air intake kit.
Yes, that's a beautiful
That's
piece.
amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful. And
Yep.
PDI set us up with their chrome-plated turbo and their
I was going to ask you
ceramic
about
manifold.
that. So the hot side of this is
ceramic coated,
coated, so it'll withstand
It'll hold
the temperatures.
The heat. Yep.
So yes, you can go drive this,
Sure.
and that
Yep.
if it would discolor at all anywhere, it would be minimal.
Yeah, we've
But
got
the turbo side probably wouldn't. The thinnest material probably the weakest point that might color a little, but still it's still functional.
It's gonna hold up.
Right.
Yeah,
'Cause
it'll
you
be
drove
good.
it here.
We did. Yeah, it's got 1,400 miles on it now.
So
yeah,
it's not looking orange yet.
No.
You know? You've put a lot of detail on the motor too, just on the painting. I can see your valve covers even have 2 different colors and your head's painted.
Yep.
So that's
we just
taking
try to
a lot of time.
Try to detail it out as much as we could. You know, the engine is always like the last thing that kind of gets attention because you can easily cover it up. You know, and I didn't want to cover it up. I wanted to make it look pretty. You know, and so we went into it and we weren't sure what color to paint it because the chassis and the cab are a different color and we didn't want it to blend together.
Right, you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, well, but I don't want to add a third color into the truck. That's I didn't want to go with a white engine or a silver engine or something just to try to blend it out. So we two-toned the motor and then we chromed a bunch of stuff, kind of old school.
Right.
And
like the alternator, it's got a little bit of the color, but it's got chrome on it too.
Right, and
little details like that. It shows you just didn't look like you just dipped everything in one color and
walked
away.
Yeah, and so that's what we took a bunch of stuff out and tried to detail it like we could, and it turned out great.
Well, it shows that you guys, from beginning to finish on this thing, you didn't want to be able to have anyone look underneath, around, or in anywhere and not be able to see a piece of this truck wasn't touched.
Right.
And that's hard to explain to people sometimes, and some folks won't understand.
It's a pride thing too.
Like every single piece of the truck has been touched inside and out,
Yep.
and even up under the bottom, and it's a very well built, well conceived, and well executed truck.
I agree 100%. The
it's
guys that we had work
truck.
on it did a fantastic job, and I'd just like to say thank you to all of them because
Right.
I couldn't have done it by myself. That's for sure. I can tell people what I want.
It would
but
be
then,
a heck of a deal trying to do it by yourself, even
Yeah.
at a shop by yourself.
Right.
So it takes a team, and it looks like you guys did a killer job on it.
Thank you.
So we don't want to leave out this trailer.
Sure.
You've done a lot of extensive work to this, so just tell us what you've done to the trailer.
Well, we got the trailer custom ordered. We ordered it from Mac Trailer. They built us what we asked for, and then we put a quick draw tarp system on it.
Okay.
And we ordered everything just bare, as much as they would, or as little as they would do to it. And then we took it back to the shop, and my fab guys They enclosed the whole bottom up under here with sheet metal, and
That looks great.
and then we also did it up between the beams.
Okay.
So it's enclosed front to back all the way.
That's very clean.
Yeah, it turned out great. We put all kinds of
hadn't seen it
underglow
yet.
lighting under there.
Okay.
And they're dual revs, so they'll go blue or amber. So at night it'll light up all blue under the truck and trailer, and then
when
when
you're
you're
driving,
going down
you're
the
legal.
highway, we put it to amber for DOT.
Right.
The dolly leg supports, we polish them
Oh, yeah.
and hit them up inside the top brackets, so you don't
Okay.
see any of that. The trailer's got 4 air tanks between the axles on it. We polished the air tanks, and then the panel that's under there, we cut around the air tanks, and so the bellies of the air tanks stick out of the panel, so you just
Oh.
see the 4 polished tanks hanging down.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
of
so
them
it's
hanging
kind of a cool touch, you know. I tried to get them chromed, and my chromer's like, get that out of here. He's like, I ain't even messing with that. He's like, go get them polished. He's like, that wouldn't work. You know, I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. We
Right.
tried. But we made these T-bars, and Evan's polishing and detailing, cut all the stainless, polished them like a mirror. Did a fantastic job on that stuff, you know,
looks good.
on the truck and the trailer.
So all this has been polished?
Well, this come from Quick Draw,
Okay.
and they
This is
supplied
part of their
this.
system.
Yep,
Okay,
and then we
okay.
put the lights on it after,
All right.
yeah. So that just it comes, you know, with the stainless headboard on the trailer. This is their
Right,
stainless
right.
package.
Okay.
And you know, and then we added our own lighting package.
So you
stuff
built
like
your
that.
own wiring harness and everything
We did.
down
Yep.
through here?
Yep.
So another thing that I forgot to ask too, that I know I'm really curious about, because people ask me all the time on builds, how long did all of it take to build from front to back?
10
Truck and
months.
trailer. 10
Yeah,
months.
we cranked it out in 10 months. We
That's actually a reasonable amount of time for the amount of
Yeah.
extensive work that
it
had
was,
to be done.
Yeah, I mean, we could have used 12 months. You know, we were, there's a couple of things that we would have did a little different, but
Right.
you know, we started talking about it at Nick's show last June, and we scheduled it to go in, and total appearance they wanted to start on it October 1st. We built the truck to be done for show season at the beginning of the year, and unfortunately Matt's got canceled, but at the same time it bought me 6 more weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, yay, you know.
It's, I mean, too,
Yeah.
like, oh, yes.
Right,
I
yeah.
had some things like that.
Exactly.
We were
You're
on some.
thinking, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, we
this
were.
is gonna help.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to help a little bit.
You
But,
don't want to cut corners, you know. You
right.
Don't wanna, you don't
Yeah,
wanna
you don't
say,
want to
"This is good
shortchange
enough."
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because something like this, you'll always sit and think about it. Well, I wish we'd had that another 5 days to
Right.
have gotten that done.
Exactly.
But when you get done and you don't have any regrets and everything turned out just the way you want it, that's what's really fulfilling
Yeah. Yep, I agree 100%.
as a builder and as a owner.
Right, yeah. When me as a customer comes to you and gives you my ideas, and then you get it done, when it's done, everybody's just relieved and happy that they got it done, you know?
Yeah,
So,
you just take a big deeper breath. It's like,
yeah. And then the next day you start
Finally.
on the next one.
right, right. Then that's it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Then everybody else is like, okay, now move on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it turned out fantastic.
Thank you.
I can't tell you enough how sharp the rig
Coming from
is.
you, I appreciate
Yep,
you.
very
Well,
much. You guys make some beautiful
yes.
stuff, and
Well,
so
we appreciate
so
that.
for-
We appreciate you showing us around the truck and
Sure.
trailer. It's a beautiful build.
Yeah.
We get off camera, I'm probably going to look at some more stuff too.
have at it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very
yep,
much.
Thanks again.
Thanks,
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Cut.